Welcome to Nugg Talk.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nugg Talk, a weekly podcast. Actually, it's going to start to become weekly again. Podcast where we talk about everything going on in the NBA and everything going on with your Denver Nuggets. I'm your host, here once again with my co-host Phil. How you doing?
Hello.
Are you ready? It's coming.
I'm so excited. I really can't even express it. I'm pumped.
Yeah, preseason is fun, but it's also not great.
It's just so it's just not what we're gonna see, So it's just almost inconsequential. It is inconsequential.
Yeah, it's just a lot of figuring stuff out, or if you're Malone, making sure you got stuff right. But yeah, preseason happened. We'll talk about it. But first, we always want to talk about the news. The main news today was Rudy Gobert signed an extension, 4 years, I think 200 million.
It's 201
million
or 206 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. I didn't think they were going to sign him to extension after they signed Donovan, but it looks like this is Utah for the next 3 years, because Donovan has to opt out after 3 years. So this is them for a certain while. What do you think of the extension? What do you make of it?
So I get why they did it. And he's eligible for the max, so he probably was I want the max. Because if you make it, because you can make an argument that Rudy Gobert is you can make an argument that he's the third best center in the NBA.
He won Defensive Player of the Year.
He has a Defensive Player of the Year. He is the best defender of
the centers.
Of the centers. The only defenders I would put above him would be Giannis and Anthony Davis, probably.
Yeah, but they're not actually centers.
Exactly, and neither of them are actually centers. So I get why they felt like they had to do it. That being said, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, that team, at most, I don't think that will ever reach the Western Conference Finals. I think that is a second round exit at their peak. Donovan Mitchell's great, but
yeah,
I think last year us coming back 3-1 showed.
They have flaws.
Yeah. Rudy Gobert, if Donovan Mitchell's not having a good game, they will lose because Rudy Gobert cannot carry the team offensively.
Yeah. I mean, with you, it makes sense. They had to do it.
Exactly.
I mean, they're Utah, so they're like us. They're not going to get many free agents. Even you're not California or Miami or New York. You're going to get very little free agents, or Boston, I guess, too. But
not as much anymore, I feel like.
Yeah,
they did get Kemba.
They did get him. But, I mean, if you're one of the smaller market teams, it makes sense. You got to keep your own. And that Rudy Gobert did win Defensive Player of the Year. He has made All-Star games. He is one of the top 3 centers, top 4, top 5, depending on how much you want to debate about it. He's definitely not 1 or 2. He's definitely not 1. Centers in the league. But it's a lot of money. 5 years, 4 years, whatever, $206 million he got. That's more money than Anthony Davis is getting on his new extension, which is insane. They're paying Rudy Gobert more money than Anthony Davis is getting paid to be on a championship caliber team.
And Rudy Gobert's getting paid more than Jokic, too.
Yeah, and it's just it's crazy. It's a lot of money. It's going to really hurt them cap-wise, too. Granted, we will get hurt in the cap as well once we get MPJ's probably most likely.
Once Jamal's extension kicks in, it's going to get a little tough.
I mean, his is in now, so this is his first year.
This is his first year.
Yeah,
right.
So it's already getting kind of tough. But because the cap always rises, except for, I'm assuming, next year, because the cap's probably going to go lower and revenue is going to go down because of
no fans.
COVID, no fans and things like that.
Well, there are some teams letting fans in, 6 teams, I think, are.
Yeah, so I think that was just why it kind of happened the way it did. But I think it was a good deal for them. Like you said, I don't see them ever making a finals. Rudy Gobert thinks they can make a finals. I don't think so, unless team starts drafting really well. Signing really cheap free agents.
They have to find a third star, and Bogdanovich is not a star.
Yeah.
Is that Bogdan?
I don't know. It's always one of them. It's one of the two. They're both Bogdanovich. Their last name's the same.
Yeah, I'm pretty sorry. Sure. I'm gonna.
It's either Bojan or Bogan.
I think it's Bogdan.
I don't know. But whichever one it is.
He's not a third star, and he's your third best player. I feel like the Jazz are going to be limited in how far they can get unless Donovan Mitchell makes another leap, unless Rudy Gobert actually plays even close to what his contract is now worth.
Yeah. I think it's just going to be weird to see how it goes. Also, a thing that happened before the bubble when Rudy got COVID, they had a little bit of a falling out.
Was some drama.
And I just feel like this was probably better to get this done now because I feel like Rudy Gobert didn't get this extension going into the season. That drama could have came back up, but there's still no that still could happen if they start losing games.
If
they continuously lose in the playoffs, that thing's going to come back out.
If they see a lot of first round exits or Rudy Gobert plays like
Poorly.
Rudy Gobert,
Yeah.
if he's not good offensively, he plays good defense. But sometimes you just don't need good defense; you need good offense.
Yeah. So I think that feud can come back. So that is something for them to worry about.
Yeah.
But overall, I think good move. I would give them a good move on it. They had to get it done.
I mean, they had to do it. I won't fault them for doing it. It's just it is an overpay, but I feel like that's just what the league is.
That's what the league is. You're gonna have to overpay people, and we're probably gonna have to.
Monte Morris.
Unless it's Monte Morris. Then don't overpay Monte Morris. You get him really dirt cheap. So that was nice for Monte. Thank you again. And then we'll talk about preseason. So we had 3 games. We played the Warriors, and then we played the Blazers twice. Blazers games were at home. Warriors game was in San Fran. What did you think overall about just what happened? You don't have to get into any specifics because it's preseason.
Without getting into like major specifics, I have no idea what the rotation is really going to be quite yet. I have an idea. I still am up in the air. I feel like Barton will start the season, but I feel like MPJ could take it. But that being said, the one thing I'm certain of is Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic are still fantastic. They're so good. I feel like Jamal looked like when he looked lock in, he looked like he was like just like how he looked in the bubble. Like maybe not that hot,
but he still had his touch.
Exactly. He looked really good. I'm really excited to see how it translates to the regular season now.
Yeah, I would say the first game for sure, Jamal was definitely just kind of fucking around because he was throwing lobs from 3-point to.
I feel like the only person who looked genuinely good in that game was Jokic.
Yeah, and Gary. Gary looked very good in the first game. Gary had a very poor game in the second game, and then I think Gary had another rebound in the third game. So we'll see how Gary's season goes. It was kind of an up and down preseason for him. I would say MVP though of the preseason, and it's a shocker, is Paul Millsap. Paul Millsap played exceptionally well in most of the games.
Yeah, Paul Millsap was great.
And he shot very well. He had 20 points in the last one that we just saw, mainly all in the first half. Actually, I'm pretty sure all in the first half. I don't think he played in the second half.
Millsap. He's been fantastic.
He looks a little bit lighter on his feet. He looks a little bit
younger,
healthier.
He looks rested too.
Yeah, I think
I hope him starting doesn't affect that.
Yeah, I think he'll be good though going into it. As long as, like we said earlier on our expectations, as long as he's shooting well, which he has been, that's a plus. As long as he can shoot well, that's really good. I would say probably the worst person in preseason was probably JaMychal, because I don't think JaMychal
played like shit, and then he got hurt.
And I don't even think he hit a 3 for us. In any of those games, he might hit 1, but then again, it's early, so it's preseason. A lot of this doesn't matter.
Like I feel like those shots aren't gonna they're gonna fall better than they did in the preseason, and also I feel like that's just not why JaMychal's here too.
Yeah, I mean he's just here to play defense. He was also kind of just a makeup for losing Jeremy, so it's not going to be perfect all the time with JaMychal.
He was not in the Nuggets' plans, I bet.
I think he was always meant to be the backup power forward, but I think it was just meant to be backing up for Jeremy. But if Paul's playing like this, then that's great. So that doesn't matter if Jeremy's gone. And then the other standouts, obviously Monte, consistent as always. His 3-pointer looked even better than it did before.
Yeah.
PJ had a great preseason. PJ looks like he's going to be very well into the rotation.
PJ's going to be the second or third guy off the bench, I think.
Yeah, he's going to be our backup shooting guard for sure, backup small forward, and sometimes backup point guard. So PJ has a lot of versatility, and he looked really good. Defensively, he looks a little bit better, but shot and offensive kind of the only issue he has is just dribbling, but offensively he looks better. He's shooting better. He just over dribbles a lot.
That's the thing is he has the ability, so he does some dumb things sometimes.
Facu came in, played really hard,
solid,
looked great, plays good defense. I don't know how much he'll play in the actual regular season.
Either. I think he could crack the rotation every once in a while if we have a lethargic game and he's like, I need some energy. He'll put in Facu. Yeah. I think that's where his value is going to come.
Yeah, I feel like Facu is going to be that kind of bring in the energy guy, bring in the defensive mentality guy because he's always playing defense. He never gives up on defense.
He reminds me of Kenneth Faried in a way, but Faried was just really bad at defense.
Yeah, he was more always energetic on rebounding.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think Facu did great. He had some great passes. He had this little spinner, like backspin pass.
Yeah.
That was great. He looked good. I bet you the new guys, a lot. We have a pretty big rotation at the beginning of the season just to let some people rest and stuff like that. And hopefully we're blowing out some games. But he looked good. Hardenstein looked really good. Defensively, he still has some liabilities. He's not like the best one-on-one defender, especially out on the perimeter. But I would say he shot well. He looked like he was hustling all the time. He was rebounding pretty well. I think he averaged 9 points in every game.
Yeah.
So he looks good. It seems like it's a better move than having Plumlee because he can at least shoot and he can at least still do what Plumlee does. He's not as good as a passer, but he's not bad passer. He made some good passes.
Yeah, I thought he made some good passes. And I mean, if he's on the court with PJ and Monte at the same time, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like that it alone more than makes up for Plumlee, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, he looked pretty good. MPJ also had a pretty up and down preseason.
I would say overall.
More up.
I would say overall it was solid. It was slightly above average, but he had one real bad game.
Yeah, the first one was not good. He took a lot of bad shots in that first game.
And then do you want to get into like the Will Barton stuff?
Well, we'll get into that.
Okay.
I mean, right before Nanji, RJ looked great. Bobo looked great. Bobo's a lot lower on the depth chart than we thought.
Yeah,
but
I thought he was going to be above Najee. He wasn't.
Yeah, so he's still a work in
He's
progress.
super raw. Clearly, he clearly has a long ways to go, but he's got the talent. I feel like he might be like untouchable in trades.
Yeah, because
unless it's for like a star, and that star is not James Harden.
Yeah, that second game he came in, he played for 6 minutes. He had 10 points.
Yep.
And he had 6 rebounds. So you see the talent. It's just he's really bad at defense because he's really tiny. Mm-hmm. And we still don't know what position he really is going to play yet, I think. So that plays a lot into it. But, I mean, he's good. Just don't expect him that much this year because he's definitely very low on the depth chart.
I would not expect him to see him unless we're blowing people out.
I would say right now our backup center is Hartenstein for sure.
I think it's by far. And I think that's the right choice. Yeah. Because Bobo, he's not ready. He's not ready. And Hartenstein is solid on both ends of the court, to be honest.
Yeah, and I don't think Bobo will really crack it until he starts getting a little bit, more physical, more muscular, and things there. And then this time we won't forget about him because we forget about him last time. Flacco is very strong. He's big.
Flacco is real big, real buff.
That's it.
He's not very good at basketball. I'm sorry.
He didn't do much, but we forgot him, so we wanted to give him some love now.
Well, I love him. I love Flacco, and I hope he stays on the team forever.
Yeah, he's just the new Wancho. He's the best buddy of Jokic.
Every championship needs a bench guy.
Yeah, so he's just there to cheer on everybody and everything like that. And then, now we'll get into kind of who's going to start. Is it going to be Will? Is it going to be MPJ? It looks like it's most likely going to be Will. Will has made comments that he is a starter in this league. MPJ has come out and said he didn't take that personally. He also thinks he's a starter in the league. I
really liked what he had to say there. I thought that was very mature of him.
Yeah.
I hope that eventually that sacrifice is on the other end. If Will wants to stay a Nugget, hopefully he's willing to sacrifice as well. And if MPJ surpasses him, then it's time. Yeah. But remember Will said it last year that MPJ should start. And maybe Will got back and maybe in like practices or something, he's been out playing him. So he like changed his mind. I mean, that's a big speculation, but
yeah. I mean, I don't agree personally with the move of starting
me either.
Will Barton. I understand why they're doing it. Malone wants to win now. He also wants to jump ahead and get a good record, as we have done in season priors. And he believes that defensively, that's how you do it. And defensively, Will Barton is still better than MPJ. And Barnes a veteran, and he's going to make less mistakes. So I understand the move. It's a very win-now move. It's trying to set us up well for the season and also for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I just think we're sacrificing a lot of MPJ's growth. But as long as MPJ is still getting probably 6-man minutes, I assume MPJ would be a 6-man if he's doing this. So I assume that he would be getting those minutes and using them properly. And then hopefully, like you said, maybe eventually he can take over the spot. Yeah,
and I do expect MPJ to average like 20 minutes a game, at least.
Yeah, so he should be still in the rotation, but we both think that it's going to be Will. I mean, I thought it was going to be Will, but I was hoping it would be MPJ. I really was hoping it would be MPJ. But then once those comments started coming out from Will, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. But it is what it is. But overall, best thing that came out preseason is we have depth. We have a lot of depth.
So many good players. It's really cool.
It's a position that we are very fortunate to be in, but also kind of sucks. We have so much depth.
It's just I feel like it's been like this since we drafted Jamal. Like
it's been a long
we've just
time.
been insanely deep for so long, and we lost 2 of them. Thought we were gonna lose a third. I love you, Monte Morris.
You don't leave.
It's going to happen again. We're going to lose with someone.
Yeah.
So we have to just make the right decision on who.
I would say twice we have made the right decision. We just didn't get anything really good back for it.
Exactly. But at the same time, like, in hindsight, obviously, I would love to have traded Malik and Wancho for a power forward, but we thought Jeremy was going to stay. Now, if we need to trade someone, I don't know who that would be. We don't even have to talk about that right now.
That's a later thing.
If we have to trade someone, then maybe we do trade for a power forward because we have 2 power forwards that are over the age of 30.
Yeah, they're pretty good, but they're not young, so we need to think about that position at some point. But Nanji looked good. Maybe he could take that at some point.
Yeah, that'd be fine too, especially because we don't really know what's going to happen with Bull at the end of the day.
Yeah, but definitely not this season, we'll see. Still no announcement, I don't think, yet on G League, if it's happening or not. I know they were considering talking about doing a bubble, but the NBA changed their rules, so now you can have, instead of 13 players suited up and ready to go, you can have 15, so we'll have more guys on the bench. I'm assuming if they did have a G League, it would be Whittington and Marcus Howard who would probably go to the G League. But we'll see. It all kind of depends on when they make that announcement of what their plans are with G League. But after that, overall, I would say pretty good preseason. Our offense looks amazing. We're shooting way more threes, which is great to see.
That's fun.
Main thing that matters is make them.
Yep.
As long as we make them, we'll be good. Offensively, we look great. Defensively, we look great. But again, it's preseason. It doesn't really matter. So we'll see how it goes the first game against the Kings. But now we'll get into our topic. This week, we are talking about our predictions for the regular season, where teams are going to fit within their standings, who's going to win the awards, who's going to make it to conference finals, who's going to make it to the finals, and who's going to win the championship. First, we'll start off with the East, and we'll go from 8 to 1.
8 to 1.
And we'll kind of try to explain it as we go for our thought processes. So you can start off. Who do you have being your 8th seed for the Eastern Conference this year?
My only explanation to this is that they always fucking get in there, and I have the Orlando Magic making the 8th seed. They always make in there. I always doubt them. I always they're trash. They always make it, so I'll give it to them. I think they're gonna be the 8th seed this year.
They do always get in there. Steve Clifford's not a terrible coach, and they have some talent. But this year, I'm gonna say it's gonna be the Hawks who get the 8th seed. I think they made a lot of good moves. I still think they're pretty young. I also don't know anything about their coach. Their coach is like a 2-year coach now. He went from being an interim to head coach, so now this is the 2nd year. Trae Young's great. We all know about that. They got Gallo, who apparently is going to be their 6th man, which is a overpaid 6th man, but a very good 6th man.
For sure.
They have very good young talent. John Collins might get traded at some point in the season because he's on he's on his last year of his rookie deal, but they haven't extended him yet, and I don't think they're going to extend him. That is a possible trade piece at maybe some point for the Nuggets, but not yet.
Be fantastic, but yeah, that's a ways out still.
And we don't have a lot that they would want really, because they have a ton of point guards. They have Rondo, they have Chris Dunn. They added a lot of extra talent this year. So I would assume that with all of this, now I think I've picked them last year too to make the playoffs, and they didn't do it. They always make the right moves in the offseason, but the team never pans out. But this year, I think they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to crack it. They're going to get the 8th seed. So I'm going to go with the Atlanta Hawks will be the 8th seed for the Eastern Conference this year.
Cool.
I think that would be the best.
I have no arguments with that.
Who is your 7th seed?
My 7th seed is the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, I think they have to make the playoffs.
I think they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, they also got Bogdan. We're forgetting about that. They got Bogdan
too, because he didn't get to go to the Bucks.
I think Cam Reddish has been pretty decent in this preseason.
Yeah, he's had good.
I think DeAndre Hunter, is he the rookie this year?
No, he was a rookie last year.
I think he's bad. Been bad this preseason, as in my research in the last 20 seconds.
Well, it happens.
I don't. Did they have a draft pick this year?
I think they did. I just don't remember who.
Oh, it was Okongwu, but he's hurt right now. I guess.
He has a foot injury, right?
Yeah, he does. I have the Atlanta Hawks. I think they're amassing talent, and that's what gets you into the playoffs, and you're not in the stacked Western Conference. So
you're in the Eastern Conference. You don't need that many wins to make it into the playoffs. Also, for this year, we're not going to do projections because, one, it's a 72-game season. Granted, we could base it off of last year's games because we only got to 73. Most teams played 72 last year, so we could just base it off that. But, two, we also have to consider factors of COVID. A lot of teams are going to probably lose potential games due to COVID, depending on how well they handle the situation.
If you handle the virus well, then hopefully none of our players get it. But the NFL, it's kind of similar to the NFL now. So.
Yeah, it's hard to handle it properly. People are going to get it. People are going to have to miss games, which means people are going to lose because they're going to not have players.
And that's the benefit of the Nuggets' depth this year.
Yeah, and that's going to be huge for us. But, I mean, that is the thing. That's also why we're not going to do projections because I feel like it's going to be all kind of wonky. Also, we don't even have the second half of the schedule yet to even know what the schedule looks like, what people are playing.
I feel like they're not going to release that for a while.
Yeah, they won't. So that's why. But my 7th seed, I actually went with the Wizards. I believe that since Russell Westbrook can now go back to his stat padding ways, and since Russell Westbrook is back in the offense and a system that he knows very fondly and has a lot of familiarity
Billy
with.
Donovan's the coach, right?
No, he's with Scott Brooks.
Oh, Scott Brooks, not
So
Billy Donovan.
the original one. So yeah, he's with Scott Brooks. He has a lot of familiarity with him. Beal's very good. Beal hopefully should make an all-star team this year, I would assume. They have Bertans, who I think is their 6th man. They have a pretty good starting lineup. They have a good rotation. I think Russell Westbrook is enough to push them into that playoffs because Russell Westbrook does enough to bring you there, and Beal is enough to also take you there. They're not going to do anything.
No.
This is just to make the playoffs, but I think they will be the 7th seed this year.
Yeah, I feel like I'm sleeping on them, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, to be honest.
I mean, that's fine. You don't have to because they usually
They got
should.
the talent to. They
Yeah.
should probably, but I feel like the Magic are going to.
They always should. The Magic always make it, so I would not be shocked if they did. All these teams are going to have the same records in the bottom of the East.
Yeah.
Granted, they also might. I think they are doing a play-in for the 8th seed, so you could say Wizards are your 9th. I could say the Magic are my 9th because I think they are doing a play-in for the 8th seeds for both conferences.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then who would be your 6th seed?
My 6th seed is the Philadelphia 76ers.
I agree.
I feel like there's a lot of question marks here. If they end up trading for James Harden, that goes up, but I'm going to base it on they're not going to get him until it's like if they get him at the trade deadline, it's not going to. I don't think it's going to push them up any further at that point. I don't think they're going to get James Harden this season. So, I have them. They're talented, but they've kind of fallen off, and they're still also pretty young. So,
I would say the biggest issue for them, and that's why I kept them at 6, because I think they're very talented. Doc Rivers is still a good coach. He's just bad at making adjustments, but he's a very good regular season coach.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons is great. Joel Embiid is the 2nd best center in the league. They added shooting for once in the history of the Philadelphia 76ers. They added shooting because they never add shooting. They added Seth Curry. They added some pieces around to help out with the spacing on the floor. But like you said, they are in the running for James Harden. They're one of the main contenders for James Harden. And I feel like if Ben Simmons can keep coming up in trade talks, he's not going to perform as well as he probably should because he's going to be like, are you going to trade me or not? And it's going to cause a lot of tensions in the locker room. Even if they get Harden, I feel like they're going to lose a lot of games because of this, because these guys, I don't want to say they're sensitive mentally, but they listen to the outside noise a lot. You know that from Joel Embiid's comments. You know that from Ben Simmons' comments about his three-point shooting. They always are listening to what the media says, and it gets to them. So I think that because of that, they're going to start
Having James
off.
Harden in that locker room could be.
Yeah, so I just think they're going to start off poorly, even if they get James Harden.
Even if they don't, they'll be thinking about it, yeah.
But James Harden's another reason also why we didn't do projections, because wherever he goes, he changes that team.
Exactly. And I think it's fair to also say that, like, I really can't put them above any of the other teams above them, and I think we probably have the same 5 above them.
Yeah, the 5 teams of the East were actually very hard for me to decide. This is the first time
I struggled. I don't feel good about it, to be honest.
Yeah, this is the first time.
It's actually how I feel about the bottom of the West, too.
Yeah, it's a difference. But it's the first time in the 5 seeds of the East. There's 5 actual good teams in the East that can all make it to the finals, because the East is kind of a shit show.
Yeah.
It really just comes down to sometimes luck, best players, talent, chemistry, all that.
Who's
just
hot.
at the right time. Yeah. That's why Miami made it last time. That's why the Raptors made it the year before. Now that LeBron's gone, that's always kind of open field. And there's 5 good teams. But with that being said, who is your 5th team in the playoffs, the 5th seed?
My 5th seed is the Miami Heat. That's the seed they got last season.
It is.
They made the finals. Jimmy Butler gets hot. I totally see it happening again. But talent-wise and team-wise, I still say all the other teams above them are better.
Yeah, I also put the Heat mainly because they lost Jay Crowder. They lost Derrick Jones Jr. They lost some pieces from that team.
Yeah.
I
think they'll still be good. It's just Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I think it's just they're all over the place. They could also make a huge jump because they're also in the running for James Harden. So that was something I considered.
And if they take that trade, that's a great trade for them because I feel like Hero is never going to know how to play defense.
Yeah, I feel like Miami wants to do the trade. Houston doesn't want to do the trade.
I don't blame them either.
Hero for Harden is not a fair trade at all, unless they're getting a lot of
picks.
Draft capital.
Duncan Robinson and
a
bunch of other stuff.
They need a lot of stuff. But I think Miami's set up pretty well. I think Miami has one of the most underrated coaches in the league. I put them at a 5th seed. I know that could be seen as disrespect, and if someone did that to us after what we did, I'd be upset too, because we made the Western Conference Finals. But and they made the finals. But I just think that they lost some key pieces, and they're just not going to win as many games as other teams because they don't have as much talent as those other teams. Bam's great, Jimmy's great, but it's not the best duo.
And I feel like they could beat all 4 of the teams above them in a series.
Yeah, they could still make it to the finals. I agree with you. They could, again, any of these 5 teams we're going to talk about could all make it to the finals because they're all very talented and very well coached for the most part. So I think Miami's 5. I think that's fine. Who would be your 4th seed, though?
My 4th seed is the Brooklyn Nets. I think this might be controversial because I do think they are going to make the finals. That being said, I do not think they're going to be perfect right off the bat, and I think Kyrie Irving is not going to play all 72 games.
But he's burning sage.
That too. I thought that was pretty funny.
He's getting rid of the negative juju.
And what Kevin Durant said about it also.
It's like that's his thing, man.
He'll sage up before you play 2K. And I think Kevin Durant is great, and I think he is the best player in the conference, and he's going to show that in the postseason. That was a spoiler for my future finals pick, but whatever.
It's fine.
Yeah, I think they're the best team on paper, but they're not going to have the best record.
Yeah. My 4th seed is actually different. I went with the Toronto Raptors. The main reason I put Toronto Raptors there is because I feel like losing Serge Ibaka and Marcus Hall was a huge piece, especially because this team is usually pretty injury-riddled. They get a lot of injuries during regular season, but before they always used to be able to handle the injuries. I don't think if Aaron Baines goes out, they're really in trouble. If Pascal goes out, they're even more in trouble. They do not have as deep as a bench as they used to, especially in the front court. And I think that's a huge issue.
What about Paul Watson, dude?
I mean, no. But I think Nick Nurse is a great coach. They're a very regular season winning team. I think they could still, be a top 3 seed. They could be a top 2 seed. But I just think that this is the year that they digress because possibly injuries, especially COVID too. If one of those players gets COVID in the front court,
cause a problem.
That's huge issues. I just think that this year is the likely year that they start going on their decline. I also think that this year is more suited for the younger teams because the schedule is so back-to-back. I mean, it's not like back-to-backs, but you're playing every other day, and you're playing some back-to-backs, and then who knows what the second half is. But it's very similar to kind of the bubble schedule. It's a lot on older players, I feel like, so it doesn't favor them, and they're a pretty old team. So I think they're going to be the 4th seed. But again, I could also see them somehow making it to the finals. But I just think they will be the 4th seed this year.
I think that's very reasonable.
Who's going to be your 3rd seed?
My 3rd seed is the Toronto Raptors. I agree. I think they got worse. I think the Celtics and Bucks are definitely better than them. And I also think, like record-wise in regular season, I do think they can also make the finals. And I definitely think that the Nets are better than them.
Yeah.
I don't want to disrespect the Raptors. We have a good friend who's a Raptors fan.
Yes, we do. That's why we know so much.
But I also refuse to sleep. I'm done sleeping on Kyle Lowry, and I'm done sleeping on Nick Nurse. He's a great coach. He should have won coach. He should have won Coach of the Year. Did he win Coach of the Year, or was it Budenholzer again?
I think Nick Nurse won Coach of the Year.
Oh, well, good. He got Coach of the Year, was well-deserved, and I truly think he is a top 3 coach in the league. He might be the best coach in the league. Maybe Kerr, maybe Brad Stevens.
And Pop, always in there.
And Pop,
He
of
just
course.
has a bad team now.
He's a bad team now. So I won't sleep on him. I'm giving him the 3rd seed.
Okay. And I think that's fine. Mine, so we just flipped our 3 and 4. Because my 3rd seed is the Nets. And I mainly put the Nets here because, one, I looked at their schedule last year. I mean, not the schedule, their standings last year. They were the 7th seed, and that was mainly without Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. And they were still the 7th seed. And they weren't really that far off from being like the 5th seed. And I think Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving bring a lot of wins to that total. So it made me push them up. Also, I feel like if they are going to run the D'Antoni offense, which I think they will.
That's a great regular season offense.
Their offense is going to be great. I know Steve Nash is a first-year head coach, but he has a very good assistant coaching staff behind him. I think they will have their struggles. That's why they're not 1 on my list or 2. But I just think that they have a lot of talent. They still have Joe Harris. They have DeAndre Jordan. They have a good bench with Spencer Dinwiddie. They have Karis LeVert, who I think is a great 3rd-star player, like 3rd guy. I know that his own teammates don't think that, but I think that Karis LeVert's a great third option. And also, if they get Harden, and I think they're the most likely to, in my opinion,
I just don't know what they can give up for him.
they would have to give up Spencer, Karis, and a lot of picks. And I know that's what they have to do, and I still think that's the best package the Rockets could get.
I feel like the Rockets at this point, they're probably not going to get a star in return, so they should go for picks.
Yeah, you're not going to get a star in return. There has been a rumor that the Rockets have been looking outside of James Harden's list to other teams that could want him. But even those teams, they're gonna talk to James Harden's agent before that trade. They're gonna talk to James Harden. They're gonna say, "Are you gonna resign here? Are you even gonna play here if we trade for you?" And he's most likely gonna be saying no.
No, I mean he might pull a Kawhi, but I don't know.
I don't think he's gonna. I think he wants to go to the places he wants to go, and that's why it's most likely he goes to the Nets. I think. So that was another reason I put them at 3. But even if they don't get James Harden, I still think that's a very good team. I think that's one of the better teams in the East. So I put them as my 3rd seed. I think as long as they stay from injuries, as long as KD doesn't get hurt again or Kyrie, because they are kind of injury riddled now, I think they should be good. And I think they will get past the early season struggles they will have with a new head coach and chemistry issues, obviously. Did we say your 3rd seed? Oh yeah, yours was the Raptors. Okay, so who's your 2nd seed?
My 2nd seed, and this one I've been going back and forth with. I had an initial prediction, and I just decided to stick with my gut. And so my 2nd seed is the Milwaukee Bucks.
Which I think is crazy.
I think it might. I think it's probably going to be wrong, but I'm just calling my shot, and it works out for my awards. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't have an explanation except for something later on. Like,
okay, that's fine.
That's really it.
My 2nd seed is the Boston Celtics.
Yeah,
I think the Boston Celtics are a very talented team. I think they have probably the best coach, one of the better coaches in the East. I think they have the best small forward in that conference. Especially because I don't consider Giannis a small forward. Giannis is a power forward. Come at me. I don't care.
It's true.
So I think Jalen is the best. I mean, not Jalen. Jason is the best small forward in that conference. I think.
What about KD?
Oh, shit. I forgot about KD. Never mind. He's the 2nd best small forward in that conference. Sorry. He's the 2nd best small forward in that conference. Jalen is a very good shooting guard. He's improved basically every year. Kemba Walker is their only question mark, really, for me, is will he have a bounce back from his injuries and his bad playoff performances for the most part. But they added Tristan Thompson. That's a huge add. I think Tristan Thompson is going to be a big upgrade for them at center. They also added Jeff Teague to be their backup point guard. I think that's another huge add. I think that helps them run the offense when Kemba goes out, because that was a big issue for them in the playoffs. They could not run their offense when Kemba wasn't in. It was only just ISOs with Jason or Jalen, and that's not going to work. Also, Marcus Smart, very good defender. That's huge. I think this is a very talented and stacked team, and I think they learned a lot from their experience in the playoffs last year, and I think they'll keep learning and they'll keep doing well. So I put them at 2nd. And I'm assuming they're your 1st.
They are my 1st for literally all the reasons you just said, basically. So they're my 1st seed. I'll just get to it now. Brad Stevens is my pick for Coach of the Year. Yeah. I almost put Jaylen Brown as my MIP, but I stopped. Yeah. I think he could easily win it.
He could. He's just already so good. So
yeah, he's already so good. But if he makes another jump, then wow, because he could.
Yeah, he has every year.
And I feel like Jason Tatum is starting to come into his own as a superstar in this league. I think he's definitely going to make an all-star team this year.
Easy.
I think Jaylen Brown probably is going to make an all-star team this year.
He should.
He should.
Yeah.
So I have them as my 1 seed. Controversial. Bucks have been getting it every year, but and the Bucks did get Drew Holiday.
Yes, they did get Drew.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna stick with it.
I don't think it's a bad pick. It's definitely a risky pick, but
it is a risky pick. But hey, what do I have to lose?
I went with obviously the Bucks to get the 1 seed, mainly because I believe the Bucks have the best player. Well, not the best player. They have the 2nd best player in that conference. I'm not gonna disrespect KD, but he is the reigning MVP. He did just sign his extension, so that's not even a question anymore. That won't even affect the locker room, because I thought that would affect the locker room. If he didn't sign that, maybe I would have put the Celtics above the Bucks. But he signed that, so I was like, okay, this team's going to have no chemistry issues. Drew Holiday, they got him. Great defender, great two-way player. He could possibly be an All-Star 2 in the Eastern Conference again, which is very likely if they get this 1 seed. I also believe that Budenholzer's system, even though it does not work in the playoffs, to limit players to 35 minutes and have them, kind of come in and out and use the bench as much as he does, it works exceptionally well in the regular season. It's built to work in the regular season. It has the players to work in the regular season. I think they're going to get probably over 50 wins, which is pretty good for a 72-game season. Mm-hmm. I don't think they'll hit 60. I don't think any team could really hit 60.
If they hit 60, that's like greatest of all time.
That's like really good percentage. So I don't think they could hit that. But they'll probably be around like 56, 55. They'll be pretty close to a pretty good record. I think they're just still pretty good. Their bench is a question, but I just think Giannis overtakes that. And we're also forgetting about Chris Middleton, who is an all-star, who is a good player.
That's
always
true.
Gets very underrated. I just think they're built for the regular season. So they are my 1 seed.
Fair enough.
And then we'll get to the West, the better conference.
Yes.
I'll still say it. I don't care.
They're so much better. I have, all the teams I have on this list could be, a lot of them could be interchanged.
People could get upset at our 8 seeds because there's so many teams that could be the 8 seeds. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, who is your 8 seed?
My 8th seed is the Houston Rockets. They lost Russ.
They got John Wall.
I think John Wall's a good player.
Boogie.
And they got Boogie. I'm sorry, Boogie, but I think it's done. I don't think he's got it anymore.
He looked good in the first preseason.
I'm rooting for him, but I just don't think he can sustain a whole season, even if it's a shortened season. That being said, I think the Rockets could honestly be anywhere from 5 to 8. It all depends on John Wall for me.
I thought you were going to say James Harden.
No, James Harden. I think James Harden is going to play. I mean, if they don't trade, okay, this is assuming that he plays.
Okay.
I think he's going to play. If he plays, he'll play well. It's James Harden. He's still a good player.
He looks kind of fat.
Just like Dan, he does look kind of fat. Just like D'Antoni, James Harden is perfect for the regular season, or just
like Giannis.
and Giannis and Budenholzer.
Yeah.
He's perfect for the regular season. And if John Wall can show that he's still John Wall after missing the last
2 years,
2 years,
it's been a long time.
Then this could go up, but I still think they're a playoff team regardless.
I mean, I just think that trade is going to happen probably at some point, so I feel like they're going to fall off, and PJ's going to leave. So that's why I didn't put them there. If that doesn't happen and Harden's not a complete, terrible person and actually plays for that team and has no qualms doing so, that's good. Then they could definitely make the playoffs. I just think that trade's going to happen.
You think they're going to miss the playoffs?
I think they're going to miss it.
That's fair. I think that's reasonable.
I have the Warriors at 8. I think the Warriors are going to make 8. Warriors were going to be in my top 4 until Klay got hurt with his Achilles injury.
They would have been in my top 4 too.
So he's out, but I still believe very much in Steph Curry. I think Steph Curry is an amazing player.
Steph Curry's going to start in the All-Star game this season.
Yeah, he's a top
for sure.
He's the best point guard in the league. I think he's going to remind people why he's the best point guard in the league. I know he doesn't play defense, but now he has Draymond who can finally go back into his actual role. Draymond's going to look a lot better this year than he did last year because he's not the number 1 option anymore. He's back to being just the guy who plays defense and hits some threes.
The way they're set up, he'll be the 3rd option still.
Yeah, he will still not even be that big of a part of the offense, and he never really should be. He should just be the guy who's creating the offense because he's the best passer on that team.
I think James Wiseman was a solid addition.
Yeah, I think James Wiseman's a good pick. I think he's going to do very well for them. Yeah. He's going to be one of the only rookies that kind of starts. I mean, there's other ones, but for the most part, he'll be one of the only ones to start.
Agreed.
And I think their bench is not that great, but it's better than before.
It's not bad. I feel like they're going to be all right.
I think they have good young talent. And
they got
I
Kelly Oubre.
Yeah, and I believe in Steve Kerr. And no one can guard that team. If Steph starts going for 50, you can't guard Steph. No, it's hard to. Very rarely amount of people can guard Steph. I think they're built for a regular season, but I still think just losing Klay hurts a lot.
Yeah,
so
I think Klay brings defense and offense, and that's so much.
So that's why I put them at 8.
Yeah,
because I just don't think they could do anything better than that.
I think that's fair. The Golden State Warriors are my 7.
You're 7. Okay.
Yeah. Again, taking the Rockets' issues into account, they'll be below them. And yeah, I know who your 7 probably is, and I have them missing the playoffs. So
my 7 is the Blazers.
Yep, it's the Blazers.
It's the Blazers. I'm not going to doubt this team to make the playoffs anymore. They always sneak in there. They did it last year. They are 2 years from when they went to the Western Conference Finals. Their team looks very similar to that Western Conference Finals team, but just I don't think it's going to gel as well. I just think that they're going to make the playoffs. They always make the playoffs. Dame always carries that team into the playoffs. I think they did get better. They got Ronnie Hood back. They got Enes Kanter back from the Celtics, and he was huge there when he was in Portland. I know he doesn't play defense either, but he just helps that. I feel like the chemistry of that team. Nurk's going to have his full, hopefully healthy season. I think that he can finally stay healthy. Melo's back. He's actually coming off the bench, and I think that's huge for their bench. And they got Covington, which is a good defensive player. So I have them at 7. I just can't doubt that this team doesn't make the playoffs anymore. They're not good anymore. We outclassed them, but they're going to get 7.
I totally see it. Yeah, that's tough. I feel like they'll make it if James Harden doesn't. Would you have the Warriors missing the playoffs if James Harden plays all 72 games?
Most likely, yeah.
Really? I think the Warriors are going to be better than the Blazers this year for sure.
So I can't doubt Dame. I think Dame's a great player. I think Dame carries that team. He
is great.
They also have 2 stars where the Warriors have 1.5.
Yeah. But he's better than both of those stars.
Yeah, but Draymond's just not a full star unless he has Clay there.
That's true.
Like when Draymond's there, then he's like a all-star perennial player, but I feel like not having Clay puts a lot of effort on Draymond on the defensive side of the ball.
That's fair.
Wiggins is great for defense, but he can't score unless he can this year, which I don't think he will be able to. I think that this team has a lot more questions than the Blazers do, because the Blazers know what they are. The Blazers know what they do.
They know what they are. They know what they're going to do.
They're
going to play no defense and score a lot of points.
Yep, that's what they're going to do. So I think that's what it's
I think that's fair. I totally see them making it. I'm calling my shot this year.
If they don't make it, they don't make it. But I said they wouldn't make it last year, and I was way wrong. So I'm not going to do it. Who's your 6th seed?
My 6th seed is the Phoenix Suns. I think that they could be as high as 5. I don't have them at 4, but I think they could be above my 5 seed. Chris Paul changes teams, and I'm not going to disrespect him. I think he is such a great player, and I used to hate him a lot, but now I just respect him a ton. He's probably he doesn't seem like he's like a super nice guy, but I don't know that for sure. So
he's just very competitive.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. And yeah, Devin Booker has all the talent in the world, and DeAndre Ayton hopefully will be playing.
Yeah, DeAndre Ayton's good. They also have another Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, they have Mikal Bridges, and they didn't lose a game in the bubble. So I will give them respect. I think they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think our 6 and 5 are flipped. Is your 5 Jazz?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, my 6 is the Jazz, and my 5 is the Suns. I mainly put the Jazz at 6 just because I don't think that team is that talented. I think they got very much exposed. If Donovan carries them, then yes, I could see them at 5. Mm-hmm. But Donovan really has to carry that team, I think, to get to the 5 seed. I don't see him doing it. I think Phoenix is overall a better lineup, a better star talent, and I wouldn't say the better coach, but I would say if we're counting Chris Paul as a coach, the better coach.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
And Chris Paul is also very used to the Monty Williams system, so that's why I think they would get 5. I think they're just set up to get 5. But I would like to know why you think that the Jazz are going to get 5.
I just feel like, despite the fact that I really dislike them, I feel like I've been sleeping on them a little bit. They still took a 3-1 lead against us. And there's a reason why. It wasn't like Donovan obviously played like Michael Jordan in those games, but Rudy Gobert also played very well until he turned to shit. Yeah. And that's what I think Rudy Gobert is. But I think this team is going to benefit a lot from the regular season. They play good defense. And they score a good amount of points. That's set up to be a good regular season team, in my opinion. I just do not think that anyone on that team besides Donovan Mitchell is going to go win you a game when it's time to go win a game.
Yeah, I think that these teams could definitely flip. They're both very evenly talented. It'll be a very even contest. I could see the Suns maybe possibly make it to 4, but it depends on how much has Chris Paul digressed from last year, because he is getting older. It does change things, but... So for me, 5 is Suns. For you, 5 is the Jazz, and then flip for the 6th one. All right, and then I think our 4th. I think 4 through 1 is the same.
Probably, but I'm questioning one of my things. But yes, my 4 is the Dallas Mavericks.
My 4 is also the Dallas Mavericks.
They're going to be really talented, but they're just not. I don't think they're quite there yet. And I question their ceiling with Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, I mean, I just have one word. It's just Luka. It's just
yeah.
Luka. Luka's going to carry them to the 4th seed. Yeah. I saw what he did in that playoffs. I didn't think he could.
He almost beat them.
He did very well against the Clippers. He beat them almost beat them in a lot of games single-handedly by himself. That man has got next. Good. He's going to be the next generational player. Mm-hmm. He's the one after LeBron retires,
and he's going to win some rings, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's the one after LeBron retires, which kind of sucks. But I think he's that guy.
Yeah, me too. 100%.
So I think he's going to be 4. I agree with you. Kristaps is the biggest question mark for that team because he always gets injured.
I was going to say, like, if they moved on from Kristaps and got Giannis, that changes things.
But he can't.
But they can't now. So, I mean, even if they kept Kristaps and got Giannis, it's just, I question what they're going to do because Kristaps, he's not an all-star, I don't think, anymore.
I mean,
we'll see this season.
It depends. He played really good going into before the season ended and then starting on the bubble. But injuries are the biggest issue of Kristaps his whole career.
Yep.
He always gets hurt. He always misses time, and that's a huge issue. He can't get hurt. He's a very talented guy. He would be an all-star if he just stayed healthy, but he always gets hurt, man.
Yep.
More than any other star that I can think of in recent memory. Like, he gets hurt a lot.
He gets hurt a lot. He was a superstar for a minute.
Yeah,
and then
he was
hurt.
one of the best players in the East, and then he got hurt, and then he keeps just getting hurt. So as long as if he stays healthy, who knows? They could even rival, and I think you're there too. The 3rd seed is us, right?
I really want to put us above the Clippers, but I'm just gonna keep us at 3. I think we're gonna be great. I think we're gonna be super solid. Like we've said over and over again, Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the biggest things for this season. At the end of the day, obviously, it's Jamal and Jokic. They'll put us to a good regular season record. I feel good. I feel really good about them. I really do. I feel like we're right where we need to be, and I'm honestly like I'm gonna. I'll miss Jeremy Grant at some point this season.
I mean, we
will
at some point,
but I just don't feel that upset about losing him. I don't. Like it. We may be a little worse because of it, but I think long run we're gonna be better.
Yeah, I already kind of just moved past it because, like, again, the only thing it really hurts us is against the Clippers. We don't have anyone to guard Kawhi now. That's a real big problem. But that's a later issue. But for the regular season, again, I think we're always built for a regular season. I think we always do really well in the regular season. Our biggest issues have always been we just don't beat teams that we should beat. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to be the issue this year. I think the issue is going to be more we're going to start off a little bit rougher than we did in years prior. 2 years ago, we started off really well. Last year, we started off 8-2. This year, I don't think we're going to have that good of a start because our rotation is very much up in the air.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
So I think that's going to be a big thing. It's just figuring out the rotational pieces. We're going to have a very big rotation, I feel like, at the beginning. Possibly 12 players might be playing in these games at the beginning, and then we'll eventually shrink it down to 9. But I think that will be the biggest issue. I think we'll end well, which is the opposite of what we usually do.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a poorish start, but then we'll end pretty well. I agree with you. Jamal's going to do well. He's not going to make an all-star because it's too hard to.
Yeah,
but
he should.
I think he'll do very well. Jokic is the best center in the league, no question. He looks even better now because he's in shape. Mm-hmm. That dunk he had in preseason was amazing.
There's only one big man better than him, and it's Anthony Davis.
Yeah, but he's not a center.
And, I don't think Giannis is a big man.
I mean, he's a power forward, but it's I don't count him as a big man. He's just like mini Shaq.
Yeah.
But I think Gary, this defense will help us a lot. Will Barton will probably help us with the issue that I think we might have, which is having a poor start, because I expected that to happen if we had MPJ playing. Mm-hmm. But even then, I still think we'll have a poor start. But I still think we're the top 3 team in the West. Mm-hmm. We could definitely compete for 2.
I think I think we're like a top 5 team in the league. So
yeah, I think as we just compete for 2. If we do poorly, we could definitely go to 4. But I don't think we'll do that. I just think this team's set up to be where we were last year, and that's an issue for when we get into our conference finals. So we'll talk about that. But who do you have as your second seed? I think it's the same for
Clippers.
Yeah, it's the Clippers.
I have the Clippers. They still got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Paul George chokes, but not in the regular season. Yeah, so that's just kind of what it comes down to, unless Kawhi load manages. But I feel like he's not going to as much this season.
Yeah,
I feel like he's kind of almost feeling like he's got to play with these guys. Maybe.
Well, he got called out a lot. So.
Exactly.
I hope so.
So, yeah, I don't feel good about it, but that's what I'm putting them.
I mean, you can feel good about they're probably going to lose a draft pick. So
that's true. They are going to
because they tampered to get Kawhi. But yeah, I also have them at 2. They're just too talented to not be 2. Even if they have a new coach, it's going to be the same system. Doc Rivers even made a joke about it. Like, Ty Lue was right there. The system's not going to change at all.
Yeah,
it's going to be the same team. They're going to run the same stuff. It's going to be the same. They're still going to get wins. Kawhi's going to play. PG's going to play. They still have Lou Williams. They have some good pieces. They signed Serge Ibaka, which is huge, I think, for them for spacing reasons, because he's going to take over. They had a weird – he's starting at center for them, which I think is kind of weird, but I get it. I feel like us –
that's what the Raptors did for him too.
Yeah, I feel like for us, they just want to shoot more threes this year. I think that's the same idea that most teams have, except for maybe the next team we talk about. But I think most teams want to shoot more threes. I think they see the benefit of doing that because they saw what Miami did. They know what the Warriors have done. So I think that's going to help them out immensely. I think they'll be 2. But I still say that it's going to be a close race between us and them for 2 and 3. I think it will be very close. We'll probably both be around 46 wins. I think they'll probably get like 48. We'll probably get 46.
Something like that.
Neither of us are going to crack 50.
No.
But this next team's definitely going to crack 50.
I would say so too.
Pretty easily.
The Lakers are going to be the 1 seed. I feel like that's just a given.
It's a given.
We already gave all the reasons. We all know the reasons. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Kyle Kuzma got a contract extension,
which was unnecessary.
They're going to trade him.
But they could trade him, yeah.
They're going to trade him.
It's an easier contract to trade now.
There's no way he's going to stay because he's not that good.
Yeah. But they did make a lot of improvements. They got
Montrez.
They got Montrez. They got Dennis Schroeder. They got Wes Matthews. They got Marc Gasol. They got better than they were last year. I could see this team possibly be near cracking 60, depending on how much LeBron plays at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Because they have made jokes that LeBron's going to sit out some games because he was not pleased with how early the season started. He didn't get his regular rest time.
Yep.
I don't think he will because I think LeBron's a very competitive person. So I think once he gets going, he'll just play all the games.
Yeah, and if it becomes like a tight race, he's gonna play. He feels. I feel like he wants the 1 seed.
Yeah, I think he knows he wants the 1 seed. Like this time in the West, I feel like you need it. In the East, I don't think he felt like he needed it when he was in the East. Here,
Exactly.
I think he knows he needs it.
Yeah.
Granted, if the 2 seeds, the Clippers, and they play in the conference finals and fans are back, that's still a home game for them.
Exactly.
Even if they come here, it's still a home game for them. But that's because they have a lot of bandwagon fans. So it happens. But yeah, that team just got better. I could see them crack 60 wins. They're going to have the best record in the league, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, definitely. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah. So from that, what's going to be your conference finals prediction for the East?
My Eastern Conference Finals is going to be Nets versus Celtics.
Okay.
I have the Nets winning. I'm going to say Nets in 6.
Okay. And then for your West?
I have Nuggets versus Lakers, and I say Lakers in 6.
Okay. My East is going to be, I would say, I think it's going to be Heat versus Nets. I'm going to go with Heat versus Nets. I think the same thing's going to happen where the Heat are going to beat the Raptors. That didn't happen last year, but the Heat are going to play Miami again, and I think the Heat are going to...
You mean the Celtics again or the Bucks?
And then they're going to play the Bucks, yeah, I'm saying. So after they play Raptors, they're going to play Bucks. They're going to beat the Bucks. I feel like the Bucks are an overrated playoff team. That system's not going to win unless they change and they put Giannis above 40 minutes. They let him actually play the whole game. They're not winning. And then the Nets are just going to find their peak there. Kevin Durant's going to show why he's the second best player in the league. Kyrie Irving's going to show why he's still one of the top point guards in the league, even though he's kind of weird. And they're going to make it. And I say Nets win that probably in 5. So I say 4-1 Nets. For that, for West, it's going to be Lakers Clippers for me. I don't think we get over the hump if we don't have the home court advantage. I also think not having someone to guard Kawhi is a huge issue. Maybe we'll find that person throughout the regular season. I don't think it's going to be Greg Wigginton anymore. He's never played.
He doesn't play.
But yeah, hopefully we find someone who can do that. I think that's going to be a big issue. So I see us losing to them in the second round, and I see the Lakers winning against them in 5 as well. I think that would be a 4-1 series. And then I think we both have Lakers Nets, and I think we both have Lakers winning.
Yeah, I'll say they win in 7 to make it interesting.
I think the Lakers win in 6.
Probably.
Yeah. I don't think that AD and LeBron will lose to Kyrie and KD.
No, and also as far as my thing for the Nuggets over Clippers, I just feel like they're due for another jump, They always get better. No one's in their prime. I feel like MPJ should be starting by this point. He's not going to be able to guard LeBron, but hopefully he's going to make LeBron's life tough on the other end as well. And I don't know. I just have a good feeling about it. I feel like the athletic Jokic is going to help a lot with guarding Anthony Davis and with Anthony Davis guarding him, even though he's still kind of 8 in that series regardless.
Yeah, I mean, it's Anthony Davis. He's one of the top 5 players in the league.
I was talking about Jokic.
Oh, Jokic. Yeah, he's still good, too.
Yeah.
He's one of the top 10 players.
And then Jamal. I think Jamal is going to be the key here. I feel like, Jamal, hopefully we're not going to have 2-3-1 comebacks.
Yeah,
so
that
Jamal's
can't happen
Yeah,
anymore.
that cannot happen. Hopefully Jamal will be feeling rested, and he's going to be Jamal. Jamal is going to go ham in the playoffs. He always does.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
But
he had some on and off games.
Still, that's not that Jamal Murray anymore.
Yeah, Jamal's made for the playoffs.
Yeah. And I feel like the Clippers timeline is already over.
Who do you have the Nuggets playing in the first round? You have them playing the Suns?
I have them playing the Suns.
I have them playing the Jazz, so mine would be a rematch.
Yeah.
Which I would love.
I would prefer to play the Jazz. The Suns would definitely be a little scarier for me.
Scary, yeah.
But I feel like we still win it.
Yeah.
And I feel like
the Clippers one is going to be up in the air. I think if we get home court, we should win it. Mm-hmm. But if we don't, and if we have fans back at that point, we definitely should win it. Will Barnes, to me, is actually the biggest question mark for that series.
Yeah.
Because if he's starting at that point, but also if he's there, like, he's going to have to be the guy who guards Kawhi.
Yep.
He better be ready for it.
Yep.
That's
exactly.
all I'm saying.
He's small. I wouldn't mind trading Will Barnes even today, but hopefully it works out. I will trust Malone. He's done some good stuff, even though sometimes we don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, we have to trust him. He's also growing at the same time with his team.
Mm-hmm.
So now we'll get into the awards. We'll start off with probably the easiest one. Well, actually, I guess not. Depends on who you pick.
That is the easiest one.
Who's your MVP this year?
Luka.
Yeah, mine's also Luka. I think if Luka carries them to a 4 seed, especially if Porzingis gets hurt again somehow.
I feel like it doesn't matter what seed Luka is, he's going to be MVP.
Yeah, I think Luka's definitely taking the next step. I think that playoff experience was huge for him, especially the people he played against. Because, again, Kawhi's not a scrub on defense.
He played against the best defender in the world, honestly.
And he outclassed them. And he almost carried that to...
beat them.
He almost carried that to, 7? They got to 6 or something?
It was 6, yeah.
Yeah, so they almost got to 7. Like,
I think they should have won one of the games.
Yeah, and they didn't even have Porzingis. So this kid, he's the next talent. And I think there's also voter fatigue for Giannis. I don't think they want to vote Giannis anymore.
Yeah. I feel like they don't even want to give it to LeBron. I feel like they're ready
There's
to give it to someone
always voter
new.
fatigue for LeBron.
Yeah. I feel like Luka's a lock. I feel like there's no way he doesn't win it unless he gets hurt.
Yeah, unless Luka gets hurt, I think Luka's got it this year. I think he's the favorite to win it. I think the media wants him to win it. I think he's going to get it.
Everyone expects him to win it.
Yeah, so I think as long as he just plays well, he's going to get it.
Yep, agreed.
And then we'll go to the next one that I have, which is 6-man. This one took a long time for me to think about. So 6-man for me, I had Lou Williams. I just went with him just because that's the easy bet. I don't think Montrezl Harrell can repeat. I know he's still going to be the 6th man for the Lakers, but Dennis Schroeder's also going to be the 6th man kind of for the Lakers. They have 2 6 men. I think those two will take away from them. Now, granted, you could say Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell didn't take away from each other last year, but I just think Lou Williams is going to get it. I think he has to get it because they need him now because he's their bench now. So I'm just going to go with Lou Williams. It's his award.
I'm going to go with Lou Williams, too. Montrez is also someone I would have considered. Before the other day, I would have also considered Will Barton, but it looks like he's going to start, so never mind. And MPJ is not going to win 6-man of the year.
No, he's not.
I'll go with Lou Williams, too.
My dark horse for this, though, is Gallinari.
Yeah, I could see Gallo doing it. That'd be cool.
Gallinari is my dark horse for this. I don't think he'll get it. I just think Lou Williams, he plays like 30 minutes a game as a 6-man. If he doesn't get it.
Yeah, he's the only 6-man in the league that plays like a starter, so he's going to win it.
So I think he's got to get it. Next one we'll do is Defensive Player of the Year, which we could definitely have different songs.
I bet we do.
Who do you have for your Defensive Player?
Mine's Anthony Davis.
We're the same.
Okay. I think I think the Lakers are getting the 1 seed whether LeBron rests or not. And I don't necessarily...
That's without doubt. If they crack 60s, whether LeBron plays or not.
I don't think... I think Anthony Davis has a talent around him. I've showed my doubts for Anthony Davis in the past, and I know he's a top 5 talent, top 2 talent probably as far as talent goes.
Yeah,
maybe 3. I'll give KD respect. And he has a great team around him, and he's such a good defender. That's what's going to get you the 1 seed, and that's why I have him getting Defensive Player of the Year. He is one of the best defensive players. Giannis, him, Gobert, as far as rim
Draymond
protection.
still, Kawhi.
Draymond, Kawhi.
But yeah, I mean, I think so for like without a doubt, Anthony Davis can get. I think Anthony Davis was very upset that he didn't get last year. I think he deserved it. I'm one of those people that was very much on Anthony Davis deserves to get this. He didn't get it. Giannis got it because they gave Giannis everything last year.
Yep.
And I don't think he deserved either of those awards last year. And we saw that in the playoffs. But that's a different topic.
Yeah.
So I think Anthony Davis is going to get. I think Anthony Davis is the best player and the best defender in the league. And I think if LeBron does rest, he has to be the best defender in the league.
Yep.
And I think he's going to get that pretty easily. Who's your coach of the year?
Coach of the year is Brad Stevens. Kind of explains itself. I have the Celtics
If you have him at 1, he has to be.
I have the Celtics as 1 seed, and I just I feel like this Brad Stevens is slept on. I feel like he is one of the best coaches in the league, and like he just doesn't have a team that's ready. And I feel like they're getting to be ready. And I feel like this is where they're going to have their like. I mean, they've always been great in the regular season, but I feel like this is going to be like their regular season outbreak.
I think they get a lot of also slack for their. I mean, he gets a lot of slack for his postseason, but like postseason wise,
They've been pretty competitive.
They've made the Eastern Conference Finals more times than not in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
They should get a lot more credit than they do, but since they keep losing in the Eastern Conference Finals, no one gives him his credit. I think he's a very good coach. So I could very easily, especially if they get the 1 seed, he's got to get it.
Yeah.
Since I don't have him making the 1 seed, I think Steve Nash is going to get Coach of the Year, mainly because if they get 3, I think that even with their talent, that's still kind of unexpected because he's a first-year coach, and I feel like they usually like to give it to first-year coaches.
That's true.
So I went with Steve Nash, even though he does have a lot of talent around him. The next one, I think this is going to be the interesting one, is MIP. Who is your MIP?
I put Jamal Murray.
You
I
keep
put
putting Jamal every
Murray
year.
like 3 years in a row, but I just feel like this is a good year for it. He's shown it now. So, and we both have expected him to make this jump to all-star caliber.
Yeah.
I'm expecting Jamal Murray to average 21 or 22 points a game this year. That's a 4-point improvement, and he's going to do it more efficiently, and he's going to like take his like markability up. People are going to see Jamal Murray as a star.
My only reason why I didn't pick him is because he showed what he can do in the playoffs. No one's going to be shocked if he starts playing well now. If he did this and he played bad in the playoffs, then sure. But I just think, like, there's no way he gets that award. I just can't imagine he gets it.
I'm picking it. I'm going to pick it. I'll pick it when he's 36.
He's not going to get this award ever, man. You got to get off of it.
He deserves it.
MPJ would have probably been a better pick than Jamal. But
Anthony Davis just MPJ is not starting, so
that's fair. I mean, mine is MIP and it's mainly because I think he got really screwed over last year by his coach. He never started in any games until the end of the year. I think he's an amazing talent. I think he's shown it a lot in the preseason. My MIP is going to be Kobe White.
Fair enough.
I think Kobe White, now that he's going to be the starting point guard in Chicago, is going to show that he's a very talented player, and he's going to show that he's one of the best players on that team because that team is trash.
I think he is the second best player on that team.
Yeah, he's up there with Laurie and Zach LaVine. He's not going to be there than Zach LaVine, but I think he's going to have a vast improvement because his stats looked awful last year because he never played because he always came off the bench for no reason. But Billy Donovan loves his guards. Kobe White is a guard. He loves young guards. He develops young guards.
I think that's a solid pick. It's not a throwaway pick like mine was.
I mean, yours is always a throwaway pick now because he can't be MIP anymore. It's over. The dream's done.
It's going to happen.
It's not going to happen. And now the last one. This was the toughest one. Rookie of the Year. I couldn't think of it.
I just picked Patrick Williams because I didn't want to pick LaMelo or Anthony Edwards.
But the thing is, I don't see LaMelo getting it.
I don't either.
Because he's coming off the bench
this year. Yeah.
If you're coming off the bench, there's no way you can get it.
I don't think Anthony Edwards is going to get it either. So
I picked Wiseman just because he's starting.
That's fair.
And
He'll
going to probably make a playoff caliber team. I don't think it'll be. It might not even be him. This was the hardest one for me. This rookie class is really hard.
This rookie class is not very top heavy, so it's kind of tough to predict.
It could just be some random fucker that we don't even know. Mm-hmm. It's very likely that it could just be some random guy who gets this award,
like Zeke Naji.
No. But James Wiseman, I think, definitely could do it just because he's...
You're right. RJ Hampton.
Okay, yeah, maybe. He could do it. Faku's technically a rookie.
Yeah, Faku. Bol
Bol is a rookie. Bol wanted to win this award. Mike Malone said no.
Yeah, you're not winning it.
He said, you're not playing. So, yeah, I think James Wiseman's probably the best more likely person to do it. I know they want LaMelo to win, but I can't imagine they give it to someone who's coming off the bench.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if LaMelo takes the starting job, then we'll see.
Yeah,
if he takes the starting job, then that means he's playing well, so that means he could get it. But
my
we'll
other
see.
dark horse for this, but the reason I didn't pick him was that guy for the Wizards, Denji Avida, or whatever his name is, but he's also coming off the bench, so I don't think he can get it. I think you have to start to get this award.
I do too.
I mean, who got it last year? Who was the Rookie of the Year last year? I don't even remember.
It was Ja.
Oh, yeah, Joe. He started. See, that's what I'm saying. You got to start to get this award.
Year before, it was...
I don't know. I can't think that far back.
Oh, I should know this, but whatever. I can't.
I'm just saying...
Was it DeAndre Ayton? No, it was Luka. It was Luka.
Oh, yeah. You just have to start to get this. It was Luka, then it was Ben Simmons. You got to get this award. You got to start, and if you're not starting, you're not going to get it. So I don't think LaMelo's going to get. I go with Wiseman. And yours, I think, is starting, but I don't know who the fuck
I
he
picked
is.
Patrick Williams. I think he will start. I think he's a small forward. Well, I don't know. Yeah, he's a small forward. So you could put Zach LaVine at shooting guard and start him. I don't know. I don't actually know.
I bet he might start. Either way, I just think that this
is a toss up. So who fucking knows?
This is a dumb one.
There's no definite favorite.
Rookie of the Year is kind of it matters, but it doesn't matter. Tiger Kevin's won Rookie of the Year. What happened to Tiger Kevin's? It doesn't matter. So
Michael Carter Williams.
Yeah, it's really just a kind of throwaway award. But yeah, that's our season preview. So that's what our expectations for this year. We're gonna be mildly wrong because we were super wrong last year in our predictions, but also COVID kind of fucked those.
Yeah.
Which it could fuck these too. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the new season. All I hope for is that our team stays healthy. That's the main thing I hope for. As long as we're healthy, I'm happy.
Yep.
And other than that, please make sure to, if you like the video, like it, subscribe, tell a friend. We're also on Spotify and Apple Music for our podcasts. And other than that, I hope you guys are ready for the NBA season.
Go Nuggets.